Shalom. Call halal Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Rakaha Kudash. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors unto the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. The 144,000 and the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be among the heathen that look like those heathen. And to the few Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. Back into this book by Marcus Eli Ravage. It says a real case against the Jews. And this was actually an article that was printed in 1938 in the Century magazine, 1928. Corrected. I stand corrected. Volume 115, number 3. And the Spirit brought it back around. I was intended to get back into this book. So this is probably going to end up, because this is a lot of information. So I'll probably end up doing a 3-part series. But we're going to start on page 12. And we're going to talk about the ignoring of prophecy when it comes to this particular point of people. And prophecies that actually clearly point out. The prophecies identify who the Jews, who the Israelites, who the Judeans, the tribe of Judah, are today. The prophecies identify who the nation of Edom is today. Clearly. And it also identifies that the nation of Edom would subscribe the name of Israel to themselves, that the nation of Edom would subscribe the land of Israel to themselves, and that the nation of Edom would claim to be the nation of Edom. And lots of people know, like this book right here, why you think they got rid of Kennedy? All right. Kennedy came against Zionism and the banking system, which is controlled by them. And I have a number of books about 5 different authors. 4 of them are Edomites themselves, who profess that these people are not the Israelites. All right. But let's go to Deuteronomy before I start reading. 43 and 46. All right. Because this guy's going to boast Salaki, I just got a message. Wait a minute. All right. Talk about timing. But let's go to Deuteronomy, 28th chapter. And see, you can't claim to be the people of the book and then ignore the prophecies therein. All right. You just can't do it. All right. So this is Deuteronomy 28, and I'm going to start at 44. And it reads, He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. It is beyond evident that Amalek is the head of, is the first of the nations, and that they control the money and the power in every nation, in all NATO countries, including America. All right, they're not on the bottom. They're not borrowing. They're lending. And this particular prophecy is talking about the condition of the nation of Israel. And the nation of Israel are not in a position to lend to anyone. Okay? It says, once again, Deuteronomy 28 and 48. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be a head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of Yahweh thy power to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. So these people always, are talking about the atrocity and the things that are done to them, but they're not destroyed. They're in control. All right? Every mainstream media, whether you want to scream anti this and anti that, you just look it up for yourself. It's owned by whom? Facts. Verse 46. And this is really the nail in the coffin. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So the Israelites would stay on the bottom until their Savior came back and removed them from that position. More so, to add to that, Jeremiah 17 and 24, which people like Vocab Malone and other people want to ignore. All right? They like to ignore the fact that, I don't know why this thing is frozen. Let's do this again. There's too many things open. That the Israelites would lose, the Israelites, part of that curse, that part of that being destroyed. Well, that's Jeremiah 17 and 4. When it says that these, that they shall be in verse 43, it says, and a stranger that was within thee shall get up high above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Look, the Jewish population in America and wherever they are in the world, no one is above them. They're always on top. They do not. So when it says that these shall be a sign and a wonder upon thy seed forever, they're not fitting these prophecies at all. They're not. And according to them, they've always known who they are. They've always known their heritage, which makes them not fit prophecy. Because the prophecy is that the Israelites, when it says, they shall, that they will be destroyed. Well, losing your heritage is a part of that. That great falling away. That falling away first. All right? And they have been that falling away, meaning they would forget who they were. And how did they do that? Through constant captivity and war. All right, they would lose, and eventually slavery, where they would lose their heritage. All right. So let me just read that Jeremiah 17:4 real quick, so I can start reading this, this information. All right. Jeremiah 17:4, and it reads, and thou even thyself shalt discontinue from thine heritage. This is a prophecy that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in the land that thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever, which brings into mind the great awakening. They shall remember themselves. That's in Baruch. All right. You can't get around this, though they've tried. Hence the reason why they want to outlaw the Bible. Ezekiel, the valley of the dry bones. The great awakening. So, without any further ado, let's get into this book with Marcus Eli Ravage. And I'm going to start at page 12, because I'm the book that you see on the screen I'm holding in my hand. So it says, it is more laughable than the last. Each new excuse contradicts and annihilates the last. Basically, is why the world and why other white people, because he's literally talking about white people more, his own brethren, why they hate, the Jewish people. It says, not so many years ago, I used to hear that we were money grubbers and commercial materialists. Now complaints is being whispered around that no art, no profession is safe against Jewish invasion. We are, if you are to, now remember, this is an article from 1928, okay? It says now, written by a Jewish, author. So when you're speaking about racial things, it's good to come with the information and with the receipts, so that it just doesn't look like you're being racially motivated to do something. All right, you're just hating on someone, or whatever. Because when you're talking about sensitive subjects, it's best to use the sources, and these sources are actually coming from other Jewish people. All right, like I said, three of the or at least two of the other books that I'm going to use, just to show where they've spoken about these people, being exactly what they're being accused of, what he admits to in this book later on. All right. It says, we are, if you are believed, at once clannish and exclusive and unassimilable, because we won't intermarry with you, and we are also climbers and pushers and a menace to your racial integrity. Our standard of living is so low that we create our own slums and sweated industries, and so high that we crowd you out of your best residential sections. We shirk our patriotic duty in wartime because we are pacifists by nature and tradition. We are the art plotters of universal wars and chief beneficiaries of wars. See the late Dearborn Independent Passion and Protocols of the Elders of Zion. He's making fun of it, but it's true. And then when you think about it, the Israelites were constantly going to war, so that doesn't fit what he's saying. All right, and then he what he didn't mention, as he's mentioning all these things, was that there are identity thieves in prophecy. And I'll bring those scriptures out in a second. We are at once the founders and leaders, adherents of capitalism, and chief perpetrators of the rebellion against capitalism. Surely history has nothing like us for versatility. And I almost forgot the reason of reasons. We are stiff-necked people who never accepted Christianity, and we are criminal people who crucified its founder. But I tell you, you are self-deceivers. You lack either the self-knowledge or the mettle to face with facts squarely and own up to the truth. All right. So before I continue, all right. He, like I said, he didn't mention that they're identity thieves, and the Bible identifies the fact that Edom falsely claims to be the people of the Lord and claim the Holy Land, right? And it tells you that basically 3 times at minimum in the Bible. I have Ezekiel 36 verses 1 through 5. And I'll read that. It says, and also, thou son of man, prophesy unto the mountains of Israel, and say ye to the mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. And saith the Lord power, because the enemy have said against you, aha! That's a common saying among these people. This happens to be Marcus Eli Ravage, by the way. That's his image. All right. And it says, and because the enemy have said against you, aha, even the ancient high places are ours in possession. Therefore prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord power, because they have made you desolate and swallowed you up on every side, that ye may be a possession and to the residue of the heathen. And these people, Marcus Eli Ravage, they're not a possession unto anybody. All right. Remember, when you look into the history of the slave trade, his people owned the slave ships. All right. Let me grab something to block out that light. Let's get that clear on the screen. All right. Salakia. says, that was oh yeah, that ye might be a possession unto the residue of the heathen, and ye are taken up into the lips of talkers, and are the infamy of the people. And so that be the Negro, Latino, Native American, especially the Negro. All right. No one wants to move by them. No one wants them in their neighborhoods. No one wants to hire them. No one wants to give them opportunity. All right. It says, therefore, ye mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh power that saith the Lord power to the mountains and the hills, meaning countries, big and small, to the rivers and the valleys and the desolate wastes and the cities that are forsaken, which become a prey and derision to the residue of the heathen that are round about. Therefore, saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. All right, the book Who is Esau Edom by Charles Weisman, written by another Jewish guy. All right, by Charles Weisman, Who is Esau Edom. Okay, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with despiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. So you got, I think, William Balfour in the front of that book. You got, I forget this guy, this guy's name right here in the middle. I know that's Sigmund Freud. All right, Johann Blumenbach may be on the cover of that book. You know, with when he created his whole white superiority thing. Sigmund Freud, you know, who was who all his friends were pedophiles that he was protecting. All right, and then in this book right here, in Who is Esau Edom, on page 7 and 9, it refers to Western Asia, what they fraudulently and falsely call the Middle East. All right, it refers to it as what it actually is. But on page 7, it talks about, well, let's read this. Page 7. It says, the Edomites were driven into old territory of Judah, the Maccabean family, the remnant of the true Judites. All right, this is biblical history right here. This is actually in the King James 1611 Bible, hence the reason why they wanted to remove the Apocrypha, one of the main reasons. All right, because the Greeks, the Romans, are the Edomites, and a portion of them were forcibly converted to follow the law, statutes, and commandments and became Jewish. All right, and later on, the Khazars, all right, which we'll get to them, began to call themselves Jewish. All over again, centuries later, after, you know. But anyway, it says the remnant of the true Judites had, and which was a Levite. Exactly, wasn't a Judite at all. He was a Levite from the kingdom of Judah. All right, recaptured the city of Hebron from the Edomites during the time of John Hyrcanus, 135 to 105 BC, the nephew of Judas. And the Judites, well, actually the Israelites, but they were being led by Levites at the time, were again faced with the hostility of the Idumeans. Hyrcanus confronted the Edomites, causing a decisive change in the relations between the two factions. John Hyrcanus conquered the whole of Edom, and he didn't conquer the whole of Edom. He conquered the Edomites that were there, all right? Because the rest of the Romans and the Greeks were mainly Edomites as well, all right? And they weren't, you know. So anyway, it says John Hyrcanus conquered a portion of Edom and undertook the forced conversion of its inhabitants to Judaism. That's when, because if you notice, if you go into the Bible and you do a word search, Judaism isn't mentioned. All right, just like Catholic isn't mentioned. All right, just like virgin birth isn't mentioned. All right, all these things that were added on to support this lie right here, as you see to the left of the screen. It could chosen people from the Caucasus. All right, and they're not even from the Caucasus. They're actually from Mount Seir. All right, the Caucasus is Edomite's second home. They were forced up into the Caucasus Mountains by the Israelites after the fall of Rome. All right, they conveniently leave that history out. Okay, and then you have Arthur Koestler here, the 13th tribe. All right, another Jewish individual who also writes about the the Khazars and the Edomites converting the Khazars, all right, converting to Judaism in the late 6th century, all right, and he gives you the whole breakdown. That's Arthur Koestler on the left of there, and from what history says, Arthur Koestler was about to write a second book, but he and his wife decided to hold hands and jump out of their 4-story, apartment in London. And I'm sure that no governments or anything had anything to do with that. I'm sure that they just decided that they would, And then you have this book here with William Beeston, that also on page 9 in this book, The Roman Empire of the Edomites, 1853, by Cambridge scholar William Beeston. All right, you see that on the screen. On page 9, it says, whence came the Romans? May have been returned and even registered in writing before the birth of Hamashiach, that the response proceeded neither from the Greek nor Roman, but from the despised Jew. That it has been preserved to us in Jewish Targums. So within Jewish Targums, these carefully chronicled historical documents, that it exists amidst the fables and impieties and absurdities and blasphemies of the Jewish Talmud. Right? The Bible doesn't mention. As a matter of fact, the Bible speaks against all other books. The Talmud is their primary book of worship, and the Torah and the Tanakh. The Tanakh, it clearly tells you not to match up, the Bible with any other book. So, well, there you go. It says, and that it may be comprehended in these 20 words, the Romans came from Esau, who is Edom, and Italy is the Idumea, Rome of Basra, and the Hebrew prophets, which the Lord promises to come back to destroy Basra wherever they are. So whatever Edomites or so-called Caucasians are in the world is considered a Basra. And the Lord is going to come visit every place where they are. All right. It said the descendants of Esau, say the Jewish rabbins, are the sworn enemies of the descendants of Jacob, in which they are. It's just like it says in Who is Esau, Edom. All right. By Charles Weissman. Even to the end of the world. See, so and Christianity has taught that the Edomites were done away with. That's a complete and total lie. Complete and total lie. All right, it says, inhabiting Mount Seir and the adjacent country, contiguous to the land of Canaan, that they were confined within their own limits. And then when you go to the other side, verse 10, if you jump down to the last paragraphs, it says, the cities of Edom have yet received but a partial accomplishment. They will obtain the fulfillment and punishment and destruction of Rome Christian, and they designate eternal city of impious Rome. They dominate her empire, impious kingdom, or kingdom of impiety, and they believe that the Son of David will not come until this impious kingdom have been extended over the whole world. See, so that's how you know that Rome, when it says the dragon rose again, because in the ancient Roman Empire, the Edomites didn't rule over the whole world. Now they do. And with Amalek, the Jewish people being at the head of that in the background. Hey, you got to give hats off to Amalek, man. They the most gangster of the gangsters. Because they rule and control shit, and they use other face heads so that they take the brunt of it. These dudes, all right? And who else talked about that? Well, I just put this book up, but it's a book called Who Brought the Slaves to America? And most of the information here came from Henry Ford, all right? From the Ford Motor Company. And it gives you the whole breakdown of all the businesses and how they got so much control in the early forming of America. Because this is another book that I need to get back into. All right. So they control the slave trade on top of that. Who are the sworn enemies of Jacob. All right. So with that, I'm going to see you guys in part 3. And I want to give all praises, going honor to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah, Kodash, Kwam, Yasharala, Shalom.